Hello. Make sure your microphone is on. When you're ready, click on the record button and say, "The man felt poorly, so he decided to take some medicine and go to bed," into the microphone. After spoken, click on the stop button. Your recording is now complete. Now click on the playback button. You should be clearly yourself. Hello. Make sure your microphone is on. When you're ready, click on the record button and say, "The man felt poorly, so he decided to take some medicine and go to bed," into the microphone. After spoken, click on the stop button. Your recording is now complete. Now click on the playback button. You should be clearly yourself. Hello. Make sure your microphone is on. When you're ready, click on the record button and say, "The man felt poorly, so he decided to take some medicine and go to bed," into the microphone. After you've spoken, click on the stop button. Your recording is now complete. Now click on the playback button. You should clearly hear yourself speaking. Hello. Make sure your microphone is on. When you're ready, click on the record button and say, "The man felt poorly, so he decided to take some medicine and go to bed," into the microphone. After you've spoken, click on the stop button. Your recording is now complete. Now click on the playback button. You should clearly hear yourself. Oh, okay. Hello, my name is Mahfuzur Rahman. I am very interested in giving this exam. My plan for the future is to study English. I love English and studying in Australia. Learning English is my passion. I love to learn English, and I've chosen Pearson because it is the best test you can ever have for an English test. It's a standard English test that can ever be produced and can ever be done. The purpose of the informative speech is to provide interesting, useful, and unique information to your audience. By dedicating yourself to the goals of providing information and appealing to your audience, you can take a positive step towards succeeding in your efforts as an informative speaker. The purpose of the informative speech is to provide interesting, useful, and unique information to your audience. By dedicating yourself to the goals of providing information and appealing to your audience, you can take a positive step towards succeeding in your efforts as an informative speaker. Nature offers no greater splendor than the starry sky on a clear, dark night, silent and jeweled with the constellations of ancient myth and legend. The night sky has inspired wonder throughout the ages, a wonder that lets our imaginations far from the confines of Earth and the space of the present day and out into the distant reaches of space and cosmic time itself. Starry sky, jewel, constellations. Nature offers no greater than the starry sky on a clear dark night, silent and jeweled with the constellations of ancient myth and legend. The night sky has inspired wonder throughout the ages, a wonder that leads our imaginations far from the confines of earth and the pace of the present day, and out into the distant reaches of space and cosmic time itself. Every morning, no matter how late. It has been. My father rose at 50:30, went to the study, wrote for a couple of hours, made us all breakfast, read the paper with my mother, and then went back to work for the rest of the morning. Many years passed before I realized that he did this for a living. Every morning, no matter how late he had been up, my father rose at 5:30, went to his study, wrote for a couple of hours, made us all breakfast, read the newspaper with my mother, and then went back to work for the rest of the morning. Many years passed before I realized that he did this for a living. There is every reason to believe that effective regulations are not merely a luxury that only the rich can afford, but an important foundation for a thriving private sector and economic growth. But the broad pattern of the past 5 years has been that the main reform efforts are taking place in rich countries. Regulations, reform. There is every reason to believe that effective regulations are not merely a luxury that only the rich can afford, but an important foundation for a thriving private sector and economic growth. But the broad pattern of the past 5 years has been that the main reform efforts are taking place in rich countries. Business school admissions officers said the new drive to attract younger students are in part the result of our realization that they had inadvertently limited their applicant pool by requiring several years work experience. Talented students who might otherwise have gone to business school instead opted for a law or policy degree because they were intimidated by the expectation of work experience, inadvertently. Business school admissions officers said the new drive to attract younger students was in part the result of a realization that they had inadvertently limited their applicant pool by requiring several years' work experience. Talented students who might otherwise have gone to business school instead opted for a law or policy degree because they were intimidated by the expectation of work experience. The most obvious change is that 46% of the college undergraduates are now women. When I went there, it was only the third year that women had been admitted, and about 70% of students were male. The most obvious change is that 46% of the college undergraduates are now women. When I went there, it was only the third year that women had been admitted, and about 70% of students were male.
Please pass these handouts along to the rest of the people in your row.
Please pass this handout to rest of the people on your row. Today is a very good day. I'm very happy about it.
The first step was to establish a baseline of known distance.
The first step is to establish a baseline of a known distance.
Politicians make much better decisions when they listen to public opinion.
Politicians make much better decisions when they listen to public opinion.
Please take these up to Mr. Mitchell in the chemistry lab.
Please take this chemistry lab. Today is a very good day and I'm very happy about it.
The bus right out in front will take you to the station.
The bus right out at the front will take you to the station.
The head of department isn't available till Thursday.
The head of department isn't available till Thursday.
39.5% of California residents do not speak English in the home.
39.5% of Californian students do not speak English at home.
Children are not allowed in tutorial rooms at any time.
Children are not allowed at tutorial room at any time.
There are many people in the USA who are critical of their voting system.
There are many people in USA that are very critical about their voting system.
Many environment experts are very concerned about the future of our planet.
Many of the experts are very concerned about the future of our planets. Okay, this is a line graph provides information about recent global monthly mean carbon dioxide. X-axis is the year 2004 to 2009, and parts per million is 374 to 388. That's the range. Okay. The picture, the line provides information about recent global monthly mean carbon dioxide CO2. The x-axis provides information of year. The range of the year is from 2004 to 2009. The y-axis shows the parts per million. The range is between 374 to 388. The highest was in 2008 and the lowest was in 2004. Overall, the picture talks about recent global monthly mean carbon dioxide CO2. The line graph provides information about gender pay gap, Scotland and UK 1997 to 2005. X-axis shows the year, y-axis shows the percentage. Scotland gap percentage, UK gap percentage. 2005 gap percentage lowered in Scotland. The line graph provides information about gender pay gap, Scotland and UK 1997 to 2005. The x-axis shows the year from 1997 to 2005. The y-axis shows the percentage of 0 to 25%. That's the range. And as Scotland pay percentage is 1997 is less than 20%. UK in 2005 is less than 15%. Overall, the picture talks about gender pay gap Scotland and UK 1997 to 2005. The picture provides information about comparison of fundamental needs model of Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Okay, self-actualization needs, self-esteem needs, belonging needs, safety needs, psychological needs, security needs, status needs, stimulation needs. Three fundamental needs. The picture provides information about comparison of the fundamental needs model and Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The graph shows in the line over here status needs, stimulation needs, and security needs. The security needs are safety needs, freedom and fear, psychological needs, food, water, shelter, and warmth. Status and stimulation needs are self-actualization needs, creativity and fulfillment, self-esteem needs, respect and recognition. In the middle is the belonging needs. Overall, the picture talks about comparison of the fundamental needs model and Abraham Maslow's. The bar chart provides information about journeys per person per year, Great Britain. X-axis shows the journey, y-axis shows the numbers 0 to 7. The range is between 0 to 700. Highest 1997, highest was 1995 by car, more than 600, lowest other modes. The bar chart provides information about journeys per person per year, Great Britain. The x-axis shows the modes, the y-axis shows the numbers, the range is between 0 to 700. 1997 to 1997, 1995 to 1997, and 2006. Comparing 2006 to 1997, using of car was more than 600 in 1997 and 2006. The lowest was in 2006, which was other modes. Overall, the picture talks about journey per person per year, Great Britain. The bar chart provides information about volunteers who incurred expenses, reimbursement available. X-axis shows the volunteers' expenses. X-axis shows the expenses. Y-axis shows the reimbursement percentage, 0 to 40%. Okay, highest is the postage, which is less than 40%. Lowest is uniform, less than 20%. Okay. The bar chart provides information about volunteers who incurred expenses, reimbursement available. The x-axis shows the expenses, the y-axis shows the percentage of reimbursement, 0 to 40%. The highest number of reimbursement was postage, which is less than 40%. The lowest number was uniform, which is less than 20% but greater than 10%. Others are phone calls, meals, training, and travel costs. Overall, the bar chart provides information about volunteers who incurred expenses, reimbursement available. Okay, the table provides...
What has happened in Latin America as a result of globalization? Well, they have had now more than a decade of what is called reform. A decade of globalization. And throughout the continent, people are asking questions like, has reform failed us? Has globalization failed us? Because clearly things have not worked out the way they were told they ought to. Just to give you a picture, they were told that reform would lead to faster economic growth. After a decade, what are the numbers? In fact, recent growth is far slower than it was in the 50s, 60s and 70s before reform. That is not a very inspiring success story. Even in the beginning part of the 90s, growth was still below what it was in the 50s, 60s and 70s, but the growth it got in the beginning of the period was not sustainable, and it was not sustained. Throughout the region, poverty, as measured on the $2 a day standard as a percentage of the population, was actually up.
The main topic of the lecture is reform and globalization. The speaker started her conversation by saying decade of globalization. Moreover, reform globalization failed us. Furthermore, she mentioned the reform fostered the economic growth, which is not true. It has recently growth has gone slower. Furthermore, she mentioned about growth not sustainable. At the end, at last but not the least, mentioned about poverty $2 is standby. Overall, the lecture is about reformation and globalization which has failed us.
The most visible manifestation of this wealth was a series of grand projects that were begun by Napoleon III, mainly in Paris, soon after he came to power in the 1850s. He said, "I want to be a second Augustus," making reference to the Emperor Augustus's claim that he'd found Rome a city of brick and left it one of marble. In the case of Napoleon III, he found Paris in 1851 a city of cobblestones and twisting medieval streets, and he left it one of asphalt and macadam, because what he began doing was bulldozing old Paris, the ancient medieval part of Paris, and replacing it with wide new boulevards, 85 miles of them, that he lit with some 20,000 gas lamps, which he took out all the old 18th century oil lamps, replaced them with gas, which gave a much cleaner, brighter, regular light. Also 50,000 trees are planted alongside them, many of them the chestnut trees that we now think of as synonymous with Paris. And he drained the streets with 200 miles of sewers, these new famous Parisian sewers beneath the streets, thereby making the city a much more safer, pleasant place to wander, to stroll, to people watch, to have coffee or absinthe in the cafes.
The main topic of the lecture is Napoleon Grand Project. The lecturer started her conversation by saying bulldozing all Paris, replacing with gas cleaner. Moreover, mentioned about 50,000 trees were planted. Furthermore, talked about drain the street. At the end, at last but not the least, much more Paris has become much more safer place. Finally, he ended the conversation or lecture by saying coffee is in the cafe. Overall, the lecture is about Napoleon Great projects.
Agriculture refers to the production of food and goods through what activity?
Agriculture, food and goods, what activity?
What instrument allows you to see distant objects in space?
Microscope, microscopic, microscope.
How many years are there in a century?
100,000, 100,000.
What is used to turn off an electric light?
Switch, switch.
How many years are in a decade?
100,000, 100,000.
A group of 3 students are talking about the film version of a book they've been studying.
So, what did everyone make of the film then? I absolutely loved her novel, but I've got to admit I was really disappointed by the film adaptation we saw in class. It didn't stay true to the book. The ending was different, it wasn't historically accurate, and the characters didn't really match my idea of who they were, especially the lead.
Well, it's always going to be potentially controversial adapting a book to a film. You're never going to please everyone. I think you've got to take genres like this with an open mind. I can't think of any I've seen that are an exact copy. I thought the book worked on the big screen because it was less about the plot and more about the visuals.
Yeah, it can be hit and miss, can't it? I think it's all about choosing actors and costumes and sets that reflect when the story's set, and the director creating the right mood to bring out the best elements of the book. For me, it ticked all those boxes. I actually thought it was much better than the book.
And sometimes it works better when the scriptwriter goes off on a tangent and has a completely different take on a book, so that it's almost unrecognisable from the book. Like ones that are made into musicals. Then the film takes on, like, a life of its own.
But if it's a story I've already read, I want the adaptation to be recognisable at least. Or what's the point? You might as well do something original. Create something from scratch instead, don't you think?
Personally, I'd say anything goes as long as I think it works. And I intentionally avoid looking too much at reviews before seeing an adaptation, because the rating will be heavily influenced by how much the writer loved the book. I want to make up my own mind and decide for myself if I like the film.
Really? I do the opposite. I decide whether or not an adaptation might be worth watching, or any film for that matter, based on the overall rating from the film critics and members of the public. If it's not at least an 80% good rating, I don't bother. Unless we've been told to watch it because we're reading it in class.
Well, here's an idea. Next time, let's all go and watch a film adaptation first before seeing any reviews and see if our opinions match the ratings. I think it'll be interesting to see how much we agree with each other.
You're on. Well, there's that Jane Austen period drama about to be released, isn't there? What's it called? Let's go to see that.
The main discussion of the topic is about film version of a book. The first speaker is very disappointed with the film. She thinks that the adaptation of the book has not been reflected on the film. She thinks the story in the book is different to what's in the film. She thinks that overall, the filmmaker has not created the original version which should be in the book. The second speaker said that he doesn't mind at all. And he thinks controversial book to film. And he also mentioned that no movies are exactly a copy of a book. Everything is based on a rating. But he also said that before watching a movie, he do take the consideration of people's rating. If it's not 80% rating, he doesn't bother to watch. But unfortunately, regarding this film, he doesn't have an option because this is a book he studied at class, and now this is a film on that book. The third speaker says she is not disappointed at all because she thinks that choosing an actor and everything does mention over there. So the best elements of the book are there. And of course, it's not going to be the same as the book because filmmaker has their own way of doing things. But she is not disappointed at all because it is better than the book. But she also avoids too much review because she wants to see how she thinks about the film before looking into the review. So she wants to decide on herself. Finally, she mentioned about a movie, Austen drama, that would be released soon. Overall, the talk was regarding the film version of a book.
Three members of staff are having a meeting about organising a conference in their department.
So, this is our first meeting to try and organise the department's annual conference, and I must say, I'm starting to feel a bit worried. I know I'm a worrier by nature, but there just seems to be so much still to be done. And it's only just over 2 weeks away now, isn't it?
Well, closer to 3 weeks, actually. Anyway, yes, there is quite a lot to do, but I don't think we need to start panicking just yet. The way I see it, the key thing is to be organized. So the first thing is to make a list and, prioritize. We've already booked the 2 lecture halls and recreation area, so that's a start.
Yes, so I guess the next thing is we need to work out the order of events and arrange who will give talks and lead the discussions. I've already talked to most of the possible speakers, and I'll confirm things with them. Then we can get going on writing the publicity material and getting it printed.
Thanks. That's already sounding more manageable. I wouldn't mind writing the publicity stuff. I think some posters and small leaflets will be enough, don't you? I know it's open to the public, but I imagine most participants will be from the department. So I reckon it'll be okay to do something on a laptop and just print it off ourselves. We don't need anything too flashy, do we?
No, probably not. But it'd be good to attract some people from outside. or at least from the rest of the college. On that subject, can I make a suggestion? How about getting in a main speaker, someone a bit more well known in academic circles?
I'm not sure. I mean, I can see how that might attract more people, but the focus of the whole conference is the work of our department. Don't you think having a kind of star guest might draw attention away from that? And also maybe intimidate some of the other speakers who aren't so used to speaking in public?
Actually, I think it's a good idea. In fact, I can think of someone who could do it. She's written a couple of books that were well received, and she's a brilliant speaker, clever and funny. I used to work with her at another college, so I know her a bit. I could contact her if you like.
Well, okay. As long as it's a topic that falls within the general area, but doesn't clash directly with what others are discussing, it could certainly raise our profile and bring in more people. And there's no harm in asking, is there?
Okay, so I'll contact her tomorrow and see if she's free. Meanwhile, Jen, can you talk to the other speakers and discussion leaders and make a list of times and topics? If you can let me know that, I'll make a start on writing the leaflet. And we'd better schedule the next meeting, maybe for the beginning of next week.
The main topic of the lecture is organizing conference in a department. The main guy, the first speaker, is really worried because he thinks that a lot of things still to be done. Moreover, there is only 2 weeks left, and there is a lot of things he hasn't finished yet, like poster, leaflet, but he also mentioned that he knows someone who is a brilliant speaker and he has worked with her in different university and colleges. So the topic is, and he mentioned the speaker, if she could list all the time and topics and book another meeting next time. The second speaker said not to panic so much, just to make a list and prioritize. Moreover, she thinks attracting some other people from outside would be very helpful, but getting the main speaker is also important. The third speaker is also said that order of the events who is talking is important, and also writing and publishing materials. She mentioned that getting a main speaker might not work because other speaker might get a bit overwhelmed, but if the main speaker talks on the same topic what other speaker is saying, that is fine with her. But she mentioned that this is the work of their department, so getting someone from and attracting other people from outside, how good that gonna be is something to think of. Overall, the talk is about organizing conference in department.
You have a part-time job at the university library. Your manager has asked you to work overtime on Saturday, but you'll miss the last bus home. Your friend has a car and might be able to help. What would you say to them?
Hi, sir. I know I want me to work overtime on Saturday, but unfortunately, the time on Saturday overtime would be a bit impossible for me because the last bus I gonna miss. The last bus is at 11 p.m. and if I miss that, there is no bus till the next morning. But I have a friend who also works as a part-time in that university library. He can help. He got a car, and would you like me to talk to him and get a bit of understanding that if he's able to help? If you could please give me that permission, I would be really grateful to you.
You are in a class at college. The two students sitting next to you keep talking to each other. You can't hear anything your teacher is saying. What would you say to them?
Hey guys, I know you guys are discussing something very important and I appreciate that, but you guys are a bit loud and that is disturbing me from hearing what teacher is trying to say. And today is the final lecture of before the examination, and I really need to concentrate and take as much note as I can so that I can do a very good exam. And I would appreciate if you can lower your voice and talk to each other, or even talk after the class. Please help me out with this. I really don't want to fail this exam. Thank you very much. I'll appreciate your help.